Motorsports has been predominantly a male hobby since day one. Men may have raced before women, but women were never as far from motorsports prominence as one might expect. In reality, women had been racing in motorsports for at least 121 years. On June 11, 1897, 8 intrepid French women climbed aboard motor-sized tricycles and took part in the world's first recorded ladies' race. The event was held on a horse racing track in Paris. The Championnat des Chauffeurs consisted of 3 heats of a single lap. The winners of each heat then took each other on over 2 laps. Lemoine was crowned the first female motor racing champion, beginning a long line of intrepid female drivers. Today, at all levels of racing, from grassroots to professional, women make up a greater proportion of the competitors than ever before. Some, by mention of their name alone, conjure up images as heroic as any male driver in motorsports. One such name has the honor of being called one of ESPN's top 25 drivers of all time, and the first woman to win a major recognized racing championship. We are talking, of course, about the legendary Shirley Muldowney.
Welcome the first lady to try and qualify in an A dragster for an NHRA competition, Shirley Muldowney.
Shirley Muldowney, also known professionally as Cha-Cha and the First Lady of drag racing,
Cha-Cha, call her Cha-Cha,
is an American auto racer. She was the first woman to receive a license from the National Hot Rod Association and to drive a Top Fuel dragster. She won the NHRA Top Fuel Championship in 1977, 1980, and 1982, becoming the first person to win 2 and 3 Top Fuel titles. She won a total of 18 NHRA national events. Born Shirley Ann Roque in Burlington, Vermont on June 19, 1940, she was an adventurous and wild child at heart from the very beginning. Muldowney began street racing in the 1950s in Schenectady, New York.
If I feed her, do I get to keep her?
Of her early years, she's quoted, "School had no appeal to me. All I wanted was to race up and down the streets in a hot rod." At 16, she met her future husband, 19-year-old hot trotter and mechanic Jack Muldowney, and together they built Shirley's first dragster. In 1958, at 18 years old, Muldowney made her debut on the drag strip of the Fonda Speedway. Win or lose, she would continue to practice and hone her craft as an amateur drag racer until 1965 when she obtained her NHRA Pro license, becoming the first woman licensed by the National Hot Rod Association to drive and compete professionally with a dragster. In the 1969 and 1970 U.S. Nationals,
A young lady from the East Coast making her first ever West Coast appearance, Cha-Cha Muldowney.
Shirley competed in a twin-engine dragster in the Top Gas category. Always on the bleeding edge of where the sport was going, and with Top Gas losing popularity, Muldowney switched to the extremely popular funny car segment, buying her first car from fellow drag racer Connie Kalita. In 1971, at the age of 31, Muldowney won her first major recognized event at the International Hot Rod Association Southern Nationals. She had become the first woman to win a major recognized racing championship in history. Not one to rest on her laurels, she stepped up to the Top Fuel category, getting her license in 1973, making her the first woman to do so. Muldowney began her Top Fuel career behind the wheel of Pancho Reddin's Digger. Signing her application with one of 3 signatures she needed to make it official was Donald Garlitz, fellow American race car driver and automotive engineer. He is considered the father of drag racing itself. Shirley was now recognized as a force to be reckoned with on the track. From 1973 to 1977, she teamed up with Kalita as the Bounty Hunter and Bounty Huntress in match races, in a pair of Ford Mustangs, hers a Patera chassis and his a Loki. In one of her first recorded brushes with death, the Bounty Huntress Mustang caught fire at Dragway 42 in Ohio in 1973. Recounting the experience, Muldowney would say, "I was going too fast and I couldn't bail. This was a short track, so there was no place to go. I was burned pretty badly on my right arm. That's why I wear a watch on my wrist now, to cover it. And also around my eyes, so that gave me a good excuse to get my eyes done. My goggles were burned right off my face." A little brush with death was not enough to stop Shirley, though. And in Columbus, Ohio, in 1976, Muldowney dominated Top Fuel, qualifying number 1 by a 20th of a second, not only setting the low elapsed time, or ET, and top speed of the meet, but also had the low ET in every round, broke her own top record in the final, and ended by winning the class.
I just know I have the advantage. At least when they look over and they see that pink car, something about that pink color. makes them shake in their boots.
An unprecedented 3 NHRA Top Fuel Dragster World Championships followed in 1977, 1980, and 1982. Muldowney's incredible success met enormous opposition from those who felt drag racing, or any form of motorsport for that matter, was no place for women. Garlits said this about her. Now, if you ask who I have the most respect for, I'd say Shirley Muldowney. She went against all odds. They didn't want her to race Top Fuel, the association, the racers, nobody, just Shirley.
I raced a couple weeks ago and I give her 2 driving lessons, 2 of them, one right after the other.
In his wildest dreams.
Muldowney noted, the NHRA fought me every inch of the way. But when they saw how a girl could fill the stands, they saw it was good for the sport. Following her world championship win in 1982, Hollywood came calling, attracted to the story of the indomitable Shirley "Cha-Cha" Muldowney, one of the greatest race car drivers in the world. In 1983, the biopic about Muldowney's life and career, Heart Like a Wheel, released, starring Bonnie Bedelia, and the film garnered 2 nominations. Bedelia for Golden Globe Award for Best Actress, Motion Picture Drama, and William Theiss for an Oscar for Best Costume Design. By the end of 1983, at 43 years old, it seemed nothing could stop Shirley Muldowney. She was a world champion, a household name across America, and beloved by men and women alike. An entire generation of young women worldwide began to awaken and dream of their own glory on the racetrack. But then tragedy struck.
And the car lost no speed and went down into the ditch and impacted.
But it was nasty. I mean, it was a question of whether she's going to live or die.
A crash in 1984 on a racetrack near Montreal nearly killed Muldowney. The horrifying crash came during a qualifying run and left her legs and feet badly mangled. What followed were half a dozen operations and 18 months of physical therapy. Muldowney was sidelined for a long period, but returned to the circuit in the late 1980s to grab glory one last time. Muldowney's last NHRA final round victory came in 1989 in Phoenix, where she beat Darrell Gwynn in one of the most famous drag races in history. Through the 90s, Muldowney raced in IHRA competitions, as well as match racing expedition events. She returned to the NHRA towards the end of her career, running select events until her retirement at the end of 2003 at a race at the Auto Club NHRA Finals at Pomona Raceway. While her final race didn't earn her a win in the end, to her it didn't matter. When the race was over, the people stood and cheered as Muldowney deployed her famous pink parachutes and drove slowly past the grandstands, waving to her fans for the last time. There could be no greater end of a 45-year career for the 63-year-old legend and icon to racers everywhere. Her penchant for speed was matched only by her drive to break into the testosterone-filled world of drag racing, where Muldowney not only became a pioneer among women drivers, but a fierce rival who enjoyed beating the boys at their own game. Muldowney was described by a longtime drag racer, Fred Farndon, as the best natural driver, Top Fuel, or funny car, no question. She will forever be remembered for her tenacious spirit, as one of the most driven and skilled competitors motorsports has ever seen, winning with sometimes nothing but pure will and the raw skill to see it done. In the fantastically dangerous and exciting sport as drag racing, Shirley succeeded by knowing the real truth, that she wasn't just the best female driver on the track, but the best driver, period.